So let's get started. You can open Jupyter Notebook from here. Just type Jupyter and you can see the Jupyter Notebook here. Just click on it and it will open you the web browser. So I'll go to the download folders. This is where I want to save all my data or files. Okay, right. So let me open a new Python file here. So the notebook is open here. So start with variables in some programming language, let's say C, C++. If you want to declare a variable or assign a value to a variable, you'll have to specify the type. So I have a variable, let's say A. So what is the type of that variable? Is it int, is it string, or is something else? You would need to specify the data type, but here in Python you don't have to do all those things. It's very simple right here. If you want to declare a variable, you just say that variable name, and you just want to assign something, just go ahead and assign. So here I haven't specified the data type of the variable. I just took a variable A and I just assigned a value to it. So let me print the variable. I'll print the variable data. So you can see here it outputted as 23. Now, there might be scenarios where you're working on some other people's you are reviewing some others work, or you are just adding more functionality to some other program which was developed by other people, right? So you're not sure, like a variable has been assigned but you're not sure what is the data type of that variable. You can use a method called as type, which will tell you the type of the variable. You can also pass functions or any other thing to it. It will just tell you its type. So type of A would tell me it's integer, right? Now let's assign some string value to this. So I'll say Python, right? I'll execute it, and I want to understand, and I want to see the type of that variable, and it's a string. Str is string. So when you want to specify something as a string, you have to put them in quotes, right? Otherwise it will not be treated as a string. It will either be treated as a value or a variable. In this case, a equal to 23, it treats that as a value, because and so it assigns the value of 23 to A. But you can, let's see another example. Let's say I have A equal to 12, B equal to 22. Now I can also assign A equal to B. Now B I have not put in code, so B is not treated as a string, but I have not even also given any number to it. But I have assigned A equal to B, so it assumes that B is a variable and you're trying to assign the value of B to A. So if you execute this, now the value of B will be stored in A. So you go ahead and print the value of A is 22, which is actually base value, because base value has been assigned to A. You'll get the value of 22. So that's about variable declaration. Is that simple. And coming to the data types, we have seen the data types integers and string. Now integers are very easy to work. There's another data type called as float. In some programming languages or data types we call it as decimal, right? So if I assign a value like 312.99, and if I want to know the type of that variable, so that is your float variable. So float numbers, float integers, these are numbers and are very easy to work with, right? And if you want to do any operations between them, that's also very simple. Let's say if I want to add two numbers, I'll say A equal to 10, B is 20, and I'll say C is A plus B. I'll just execute this and I want to print the value of C. It just adds us two numbers and gives you the output, right? You can also do the same with strings as well. So let's say I have a variable A, which is Python, B. If I say A plus B, so what it did is it actually concatenated the two strings. It just joined the two strings. It said Python and it followed by programming. Now the same operator plus, when it is a string it is just concatenating, and when it is a number it is adding up, right? This is one of the good things about Python. It is very smart. It knows that when you get two numbers you will have to add them up, and when you get two strings you will have to join them up, right? So what happens if one is a string and one is a number? I'll say 8 as 10, B is Python, Now if I want to add them up, right, I'll get an error. The reason is you're trying to concatenate one data type with another data, so integer with string. So when there are two integers, it knows it has to add them up as numbers. If it has two strings, it knows that you'll have to combine them, but then one is an integer, one is two different functionalities, so it gets confused what to do, and so it throws out an error. So in this scenario, what we have to do is you have to either convert an integer to string or string to integer. Now converting 10 into a string is possible, right? Because anything can be a string. You can put numbers, you can put punctuation, anything can be a string, right? But converting a Python this string to a number is not possible. So if you want to convert this a into a string, you just say string of a, right? So that will convert the data type of a to a string, so you don't see any error here. So this is called as typecasting. You can typecast from string to integer, integers to string. Now numbers to string is possible in all cases, but string to numbers is only possible when the symbol that string holds is actually a number. For example, if I say equal to 10, this is actually a number, but then it is a string type, right? If I do a type, it's a string because it's put in quotes, but then the actual value is a number. So you can actually do a type conversion. If I say integer of a, right, that this is possible. I'll print integer of a, it's possible. The data type has been changed to integer. Now if I'll show it a little more clear, if I say b equal to int of a, and if I want to print what is in b, it's an integer, right? So this is how you do a typecasting. This is also one of the important things. You will definitely work on this at some point of your career, so not to worry. It's a very simple concept. If you want to convert from in one data type to another data type, we do what is called as casting. And how do you cast? You just put the data type in front of the variable, and that's all. Working with numbers is rather easy. There are very limited operations that we do, but when it comes to string, you do a lot of operations here. So name as Python programming. Now look at this string, right? There are so many operations you can do. Suppose I want to find out how many m characters are present in this, so I have a method, the string inbuilt method. So what you have to do is you have to type name dot, and then you have to give the function name or the method name. So in this case it's a count. So what count does is it counts the number of occurrences whatever of the variable or the data whatever you're passing. And if I say count of m, it will give me the number of m here, right? There are some other important methods like replace. If you say so replace, so what replace does is if you want to replace a particular character or a string, then you will give this replace. So you will say I want, if let's say if I want to replace m with k, so I'll just say m comma k. So this is your old character and this is your new character. So when you shift enter, you will see k, right, k replacing m. So this is one of the other important methods. There's another important function or a method that I'll say. If you see this, right, if I want to split this, now this is like one single string, right? If I want to split this, I would say split. Now on what basis I have to split this? So I'll say split it by space. Okay, if that means, so wherever there is a space, it will just split into two different things or any number of items that are available. So you see here, so this is actually split into two items. So this Python, then there is programming. Now this is called as a list. So what list contains is the elements, they're separated by comma and they can be accessed via index. So this is index 0, so index starts at 0. So this is index 0, this is index, and if I want to get a value of index 0, I'll just open the square bracket and I'll say index of 0 and it says Python. If I want index at 1, you'll say by programming. So if you want to extract a portion of the string, let's say I want to extract till here, right? So what I am saying is, uh, let's say the position is like 0 1, position starts at 0, so 0 1 2, so from 0 up till 2 I want to extract. So I'll give the variable name, I'll open this bracket. Now this would be your start index and this would be your end index. So now the end index is not exclusive, which this means if you give an end index as 2, it will not include the index 2, but then 2 minus 1, which is 1. So if I want to include till here, I will have to go 0 1 2 plus 1. So my end index would be 3, right, and my start index would be 0. There you go. If you don't give a starting index, you assume that it is from 0 and it will give you the same result. Not give the ending index, it will take everything till the end, so you'll get the full thing, right? So this is one of the important things. Now whatever I'm showing you are some of the common methods that you are going to use in string, but these are not the only methods. There are a lot of other methods as well, and you really don't need to memorize all of them. And it's good if you can get some of those methods, but then if you are not able to recollect, not to worry. There is a very easy way to find out the methods. Like, say, let's say I have a name, I have this name, right? So this variable. Now I do not know, let's say I don't know like what all functions or what all methods I can apply on this. So I all you need to do is you need to remember this method dir. So if you pass the variable, you can literally pass anything to it, right? If you a variable or function, anything, again we'll see all those later. So when you execute this, it will give you all the list of methods that you can apply to it. So let's say most of them are very easy to understand. Let's say capitalize, the first letter will be a capital letter. Index, it will find out the index number. Checks if it is an alpha, is it decimal, is it digit, is it an identifier, is it a lower, is it an upper strip. Based on this you can actually get a basic understanding. But let's say if you're not able to understand anything and you want more information on this, so you can use another method called as help. Now str is for string, so whatever method you want, let's say you want to understand count, so I will just say count and I will enter. Now a description of this is given, returns the number of non-overlapping occurrences of a substring sub in a string, right? So this is very helpful. However, if you're still not able to understand this, you can always go to help section and you can go here Python reference and you can search here, right? You can search here and you will get all the details which are required. We look at dates. In order to work with dates, you will have to import a module called dates. So we'll see what module is. For now, just think of it module as like you have some pieces of code, you save them and you put it at a place. Now in order to use the functionality of that, you'll have to import it into your notebook or into your program. So you use the import statement, right? So let's go ahead and import the date, and I'll take a variable today, and if I want to know today's date, I'll say today, and if I'll print today 17th July 2020, that's the date, today's date. Now if I want to know the year, just the year, I mean this you see the full date, right? I just want to know today's year. You can see it's 2020, right? If I want to know month, just the month, it will go as month name. Similarly, if I want to know just the day, I'll go with the day. So this is the different ways you can work with dates. Now let's look at the type of today and its date, right? Now you see the date in a format like YYYI, MM and DD. So if you want to change it to another format, there is a function called strf time, and then within this you give the format you want it to. Like I want it y small capital Y is like y slash, I'll go with M slash, I'll go with date. So if I execute this, date has changed in the format that I have specified. This is y slash mm slash dd instead of hyphen, right? Now this will work. This method will work only if the input is actually a date. So this is a date field, it is able to work. So let's say if it is not a date field, right? If it is not a date field, let's say I'll just take as it is, okay, and I will assign it to date. Now this is a string. If you want to verify, we can do a type and then it will tell you the string. Now if I execute this, I'll get an error saying that string is a string, it has to be a date, right? Only if it is a date, this function will work. Now sometimes you'll get the date in the form of a string and then they will ask you to convert into a date so that they can do some date calculations or date expression type of logic. So you can do that, but for that you will have to import another module. So we'll go and import that module. It's called date time. So we'll say from date time import date time. Now all this will make sense when we discuss about modules, but for now let's just import this. And if I want to print today, now see the difference here, 2027-17, the same thing we have got when we have printed this value, right? Let me just print this again. The difference here is that we get the timestamp here, so that's the difference between date time and date. So let's convert this into a date. For this, first I'll import the module. The module name is date time and I'll take a variable called as date2. So date time has a method called as strip time, strp time. It takes two arguments. First argument is your variable that has its date value, and then within this course you give the format. So the format here is y hyphen dd, right? So that is what we want to give it here as well. So and now if you execute this, so this is now get converted into a date time. Now if I want to see the data type, it will be date time. So this is about dates. So that's it for this lecture. Well, I'll see you guys in the next one. Keep practicing.